In today's society, death is often perceived as being negative. Death has negative connotations because of the perceived loss and the grieving that goes along with it. We fear death, doing everything possible to keep ourselves or loved ones alive. We mourn the deaths of our friends and family, shedding many tears and sorrow. While these are all very natural ways to feel and act, we may be missing something in our lives by not celebrating one's life when they pass, and instead mourn the loss of them. Most major religions believe that how one lives his or her life affects where they will go after death. Some religions even teach that the only reason we are born is so that we can prepare for our death. Both Islam and Buddhism teach that it is ultimately in one's control as to where he or she ends up. They can control how they live their life and what kind of person they want to be. Both of these religions require practice and faith in oneself. The ultimate goal of a religious life for a Buddhist is to escape the cycle of death and rebirth and end suffering. Buddha said that all forms of life are unsatisfactory and you will eventually end up suffering. Nirvana is the end of this suffering, and if you escape the cycle of death and rebirth, you will achieve this. Buddha achieved nirvana when he reached enlightenment, and after experiencing nirvana, he decided to teach all of his followers how to achieve it as well. Buddha says that the goal for everyone should be to achieve nirvana. Nirvana literally means extinguishing, but to Buddha it is meant as the place one gets to where there is no suffering and no desires. There is freedom from everything in our lives that leads to suffering, such as jealousy and greed. It represents the final goal of Buddhism, as a person's karmic debts are wiped away and a person can enjoy this state of ecstasy forever. Buddhists want to understand the Four Noble Truths, the path in which Buddhists follow to reach enlightenment. Buddha has said that we continue to run in the cycle of rebirth because we fail to understand the Four Noble Truths. These Four Noble Truths are life means suffering, the origin of suffering is attachment, the cessation of suffering is attainable, and the path to cessation of suffering. Once we understand and believe that the cessation of suffering is attainable, we can then work towards and achieve nirvana. The ultimate goal of a religious life in an Islamic view is to get to one of the paradises or heavens and avoid one of the hells. The Quran warns us that our life on earth is very short, and there are two places that await our soul after death. In Islam, there will be a judgment day where each individual will be judged and sent to either heaven or hell. They will not be able to give or receive help from any friend or family member or intercede on anyone's behalf. While it may sound simple enough to achieve nirvana if one is a Buddhist or get to paradise if one is of Islamic religion, there are many hindrances that keep people from achieving their lifelong goal. As a Buddhist, desire is what keeps them bound to the cycle of death and rebirth. This desire is the wantings or cravings in the world, power and beauty. One's false self continues to reincarnate until you abandon your false self and nothing is left to reincarnate. Muslims are kept out of paradise for not doing enough good deeds, or if the ratio of bad to good deeds is greater than the ratio of good to bad doings. From chapter 10 of Yunus in the Holy Quran, verses 26 and 27, "For those who do good, there is goodness and more. They are the people of paradise, where they will abide forever. But those who are in evil shall be punished to an equal degree as their evil, and they will be covered with shame. They are the people of hell." There are 5 pillars of Islam that structure the lives of Muslims and helps them to get into paradise. The first pillar is Shahada, or the profession of faith, proclaiming that Muhammad is God's messenger. The second pillar is Salat, the 5 daily prayers that Muslims must say facing towards the Kaaba in Mecca. This includes praying at dawn, noon, afternoon, sunset, and nightfall. The third pillar, Sawm, or fasting, is when Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset for 30 days. Not only can they not eat food, but they must not smoke or have any sexual contact. The fourth pillar, Zakat, or alms, is the giving of donations to the poor, travelers, captives, or debtors. Hajj is the 5th and final pillar where Muslims must make a pilgrimage to Mecca. This reenacts when the Prophet received the revelation of the Quran. Every person that is able to and can afford to make this pilgrimage must do so. So how can one achieve nirvana or get to paradise? Nirvana, meaning liberation or extinction, is an elimination of all cravings of our worldly desires. As a Buddhist, you need to get rid of and resist desires. and this will get you out of the wheel of rebirth. The Eightfold Path is followed closely to remove these desires and aid in mental and ethical development. This path includes right views, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditation. Right view is an understanding of oneself and the ability to see and interpret things as they really are. Right intention is how we control our actions through our mind. According to Buddha, there are 3 types of right intentions. The first is the intention of renunciation, or the refusal to give in to desires. The second is the intention of goodwill, having good thoughts, resisting the thoughts of hurting others. The third is the intention of harmlessness, or not thinking or acting on any thoughts of violence and aggression. This includes abstaining from stealing, killing others or oneself, and sexual misconduct. Right speech is the practice of telling the truth, not lying, gossiping, using harsh words, or slandering others. Right action is keeping one's actions wholesome. Right livelihood means that a person should make a living legally, peacefully, and without harming others. There are 5 traits that should be avoided as a Buddhist, including trading deadly weapons, animals for slaughter, slavery, intoxicants, and poisons. Right effort explains that nothing can be achieved without putting forth effort. This means putting effort towards getting rid of evil that is present in the world, preventing more evil from arising, promoting the good that is in the world, and developing the good that is not yet in the world. Right mindfulness means seeing things as they are with clear perception. One must have keen awareness of one's own thoughts, words, and actions. This includes having clear recognition relating to the body, mind, feelings, and mental objects. The last of the Eightfold Path is right concentration. This refers to one training one's mind to focus on a single object without their concentration faltering. This is much like the practice of meditation. There is no time limit for a Buddhist to reach this, and you do not need to follow these 8 steps in order. Where you go depends on the deeds you perform in life, which also goes along with the karma you will have based upon those deeds. As found in the Holy Scripture, the Quran, "We tempt you with evil and with good as a trial, and to us you will return." In the Islamic religion, one needs to do good acts and deeds in one's present life. You also need to follow the Islamic path with all of your heart and soul. You have to be fully prepared for this journey and completely devote yourself. If you do go to heaven, you will enjoy all physical and spiritual pleasures. However, if you are condemned to hell, you will suffer spiritual and physical torture forever, because you will never be able to leave hell. As quoted by Buddha from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, "First of all there will appear to you, swifter than lightning, the luminous splendor of the colorless light of emptiness, and that will surround you on all sides. Try to submerge yourself in that light, giving up all belief in a separate self, all attachment to your illusory ego." It is important for a person who is nearing death to take care of any unfinished business, because if the person has not accepted death and resists the process of dying, he or she will bring conflict into the Bardo stages. The spirit goes through a 49-day process called the Bardos, which has 3 stages. The first stage, the Bardo of dying, lasts from a half a day up to 4 days. This is when the deceased has realized they have dropped the body. This stage is much like what happens physically after death. The senses begin to fail, muscles lose their strength, and the body becomes motionless. The consciousness of the departed experiences the clear white light. The more spiritually developed you are, the longer you will see the light. If you can recognize that your own mind and self are identical to the clear white light at the moment of death, you can attain liberation. Attaining liberation means you will stay in the clear white light forever. This is known as the Dharmakaya and is the highest spiritual body of the Buddha. Most souls do not achieve this higher level and instead see a second clear white light. In stage 2, the Bardo of the luminous mind, the deceased encounters hallucinations resulting from karma of the previous life. At this stage, the deceased will still feel as though they are in their own body, unless they are highly developed in Buddhism. They then encounter apparitions, peaceful and wrathful deities, and must show no fear or hesitation in the presence of these apparitions to successfully achieve nirvana. The second stage can last for 2 weeks. The third stage, the Bardo of rebirth, is the process of reincarnation. The soul meets the Lord of Death, who appears in fire and smoke, and puts the soul through a judgment. If the soul says he has done no evil, then the Lord of Death holds him up to the mirror of karma, and every evil deed the person has done will be shown. The soul is then tormented by the demons for the evil he has done. There comes a point when the soul can no longer attain liberation anymore. At the conclusion of this bardo, a person will either enter nirvana or go back to earth for rebirth.